All right, I'm going to get started, guys, because we got a lot to cover and I'm super excited about it too. So, most of you guys probably already know me, but if you don't, my name's Stacey Wisniewski and I'm the founder and chief AI strategist of Advisors. Advisors has been around since 2017. I launched it, it became a pretty successful digital agency. And last year, I actually pivoted. I got certified in AI strategy and implementation, and I relaunched the agency as an AI agency. And now we help sales, marketing leaders, CEOs, business owners utilize AI to help drive higher revenue, profits, productivity, and competitive advantage. So that's what we're doing. So let me share my screen and we'll get started. Okay. Funnels are dead, loops are in. This is the subject for today's webinar. And the key here really is that this is a structural shift. Okay. This isn't a trend. Things aren't going to go back to normal. Things have actually shifted. So in the next 60 minutes, here's what you're going to learn. You're going to learn what's changed in marketing. You're going to learn what's replaced the linear funnel, which is loop marketing. And you're going to learn how to implement it now, the frameworks and the tools. So what's broken? The marketing landscape has fundamentally shifted. It's more complex. Marketing's more complex. Google is no longer just a search engine, it's an answer engine. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that's so important. The decline of rankings. So your ranking in Google means less and less today. Buyers are starting their journey elsewhere. They're not starting it on the channels that you own. There's a mass exodus from traditional search because of all of this. And then finally, an underlying change in marketing mathematics. I'm going to take each one of these and we're going to go into detail. So the first one, marketing feels harder because it is harder. Okay. According to HubSpot's latest state of marketing report, 60% of marketers believe AI is the biggest disruption in 20 years. And while marketing budgets may be growing, you really have to prove out the ROI now of your budget. 73% of marketers believe their budget's under higher scrutiny. That's just the beginning. And I mentioned a few of these before. Traffic's down, costs are up, engagement is slipping, meaning people aren't spending a lot more time on your website, but they're also not opening your emails and they're not clicking. And we're going to talk about each one of these in detail. And then finally, just generating more content, is it going to fix it? This isn't an execution problem. If some of you guys are like, oh my God, what's going on? It's not an execution problem. It's a structural shift. Let's talk about this a little more. Google has become an answer engine now. It used to be a gateway, which meant you guys put a lot of organic content on your websites and you got it ranked up in Google and people clicked on it and they came to your website and they learned more about you. That's not happening anymore. Google search now is a destination. So 65% of searches now don't result in a click. The reason for this, as you all probably have noticed, is that AI overviews, snippets, instant answers, all of those things are transforming Google into a destination. So while your content is valuable and you want it to be able to be cited by these engines, it's just informing the answer. Users are not going to your site. They're not even entering attribution sometimes because they're literally stopping once they get to Google. Okay, what's the next thing that's happening? Ranking on Google, we all want to be the number one spot. Keywords. It's still important to show up, but it's not going to impact your traffic. The old equation was high rankings equals traffic equals pipeline growth. Now, in this new reality, high rankings just gives you visibility. People aren't necessarily going to click. They're just going to go and they're going to learn what Gemini gives them for an answer. Now, what's super interesting, I found this chart, and this is really relevant and recent. Look at the year-over-year traffic changes for major publishers last year. Now, HubSpot, which is one of the places where they use educational content almost more than anyone, 75% drop in traffic. Now, obviously, they did something about that, but You'll see here, you had the news sites, their traffic was going down because you could just get the answer on Google. Business Insider, Forbes, things like that. Again, you're going to get the answer in Google. So the educational content that's there is getting scraped and summarized and being served up by AI. So that's why you guys see a lot now about AI SEO and how important it is. And it's important because now traditional organic search is pretty much dead and gone. Where are buyers starting? Discovery is happening outside of the channels that you own. It's happening on ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity. So how do you take your content and make it so it can show up there? It's happening in communities like Reddit and Slack and Quora. So you'll see that some of these communities are becoming much more popular. Reddit has become super popular. You know why? Because it's one of the main places where the AI tools go to serve up their content. It's amazing how many people have moved to Reddit. And then finally, doing things like having LinkedIn articles, because those get on search. Your Facebook groups that you go to all the time. Here are recommendations that aren't coming necessarily from the brand itself. Those outweigh owned content. So what happens with search? Everyone search all at the same time last year. Everybody's like, oh my God, search isn't working. Got to figure out what's working. So organic search declined and all the brands started focusing in the same places. You've got paid ads. The costs are rising through the roof. You've seen that in Facebook. Returns are getting compressed. Emails aren't working as well. All of this stuff is happening because all of these channels are where everyone is going and they're just getting saturated. And then finally, what really matters to leaders out there is that the marketing math has flipped. So it used to be in the inbound era, so 20 years. So 20 years ago, HubSpot actually coined the phrase inbound marketing. And they called it that because you basically utilize all your content to get out there organically or through your email or through your social to bring people to your site, right? In that era, the math was traffic is scalable. So let's just get more of it. Conversion's going to be hard, but the more volume you have, the better. So let's just get more people coming to our site. Now, as of basically last year, in this new loop marketing AI era, traffic is constrained, right? They're not going to your site, they're going elsewhere. So conversion quality is elastic. And when I say conversion quality, what I mean by that is how close are the people that are coming to your site to revenue? It's elastic, right? You're getting higher intent people to your site now. And that means that they're a bit more discerning. If I've finally come to your site after learning about you through AI and seeing a video on YouTube and having some people talk about you on LinkedIn, efficiency is going to win and personalization is going to win. So this whole fundamental equation where traffic was key has changed. And what this is doing is it's taking everything that was built on those assumptions, your tech stack, your team's competencies, your KPIs, and now they're misaligned. Now that I've shared with you all the stuff that's changed, and you're like, holy moly, what am I going to do? We're going to talk about what you're going to do and what's important now. So here's what the implications are from all the stuff that's going on in marketing. So these shifts that are happening in marketing are demanding a new approach, right? So here are the 6 things that we're going to talk about in this section. We're going to talk about what we've already mentioned, which is decreased traffic volumes. That's the new normal. Value per visitor, that's your new success metric. We're going to dive into yield and why you want to use yield instead of conversion rate, relevance or personalization, and why that's a non-negotiable. Personalization is a non-negotiable. Dispersed audiences, that's the fifth thing we're going to talk about, which is how audiences are so scattered that trust and authority is a huge deal. And how do you get that? And then finally, learning speed. Because if all of this stuff is going on and you're running these campaigns and you're waiting 3 months until the campaign's over or next quarter until you plan, the market's already moved. So let me talk a little bit more about each one. You're going to get fewer visits to your website. Okay. So you just have to assume it now. Visitors are going to be more scarce. And that's a bummer, right? But the good thing is that when they finally do get to your website, they're going to be higher intent. So gone are the days when hundreds of people are coming to your website to download your latest ebook. They may do that, but once they do that, they're interested in you. So you want to make sure that their experience is personalized. And then finally, you've got this unpredictable buyer's journey. It's not linear anymore. It's a loop. And that's what we're going to address in the final section. Let me dive into the new metric. So when you have less people coming to your website, the metric that matters now is yield per visit. So yield per visit basically means what's the total business value of the people that are coming to my website divided by the total number of qualified visits. And what goes into that? What goes into that now are things like conversion quality, which I mentioned before. Are you getting the right buyers? Deal size. Are these high value opportunities? Are the people that are coming to your website and converting, are they higher up the chain as far as deal value? Speed to close. That's another metric that you want to use because it helps show you intent. Your intent's climbing. It means that you're doing the right things. And then finally, expansion potential, lifetime value. Now, what you'll see about each one of these is that they're all tied to revenue and lifetime value, right? No longer is marketing over here and sales is over here. And we're measuring how many leads did we get, right? If you're measuring the quality of your leads, are they turning into opportunities? And now, when they get to your website, they should be pretty qualified. And if they're not, then you're doing something wrong in these other channels. And we're going to talk about how to do that the right way. It's no longer about reach now. It's about quality, context, and relevance. So yield, that's a big one. By the way, I love this image that I created with AI. One side is a massive amount of leads, but they're all junk. And then the right side is a lot less leads, but they're really high quality. And that's what we're going for now. Yield does not equal conversion rate because when you're talking about a conversion rate, what you're saying is when these people got here, did they act? Let's say you had a 5% conversion rate. Now your conversion rate is 10%. You're like, woohoo, my conversion rate's up. But if none of those leads close, then it's really worthless, right? Yield, that's what's more important. Traffic is no longer coming to the website, right? So you have to start measuring it in a different way. And the great thing about yield is it aligns sales and marketing much closer together with revenue outcomes. So another thing that really matters, I titled this basically relevance is the unlock. And what that means is that in a world where website visitors are more scarce, generic experiences, non-personalized experiences will kill your revenue because now they know who you are. They've heard you're good, coming to your website, but you're not treating them like you know who they are. How do you make this happen? How do you implement something like personalization and relevance on your website? Now you can use AI to understand who this person is, what their role is, what their industry is, and whether or not they're in the market searching for your services. HubSpot's actually implemented that inside of its system. A company called Clearbit, which was one of the vendors way back that focused 100% on that. HubSpot bought them. So now you can do all of that stuff within the system itself. But there are other vendors out there like Apollo and others where you can upload lists and get intent. So it doesn't have to be HubSpot, but because they're the ones who've coined this loop marketing phrase, they're the ones who built their system now or revamped it around it. Context over volume. So now we want the right message at the right time. How do we do that? We know more context about them. And like I said, AI makes this operational. And personalization now transforms things like emails and website visits from, I have no idea who these people are, to a strategic interaction that happens that will ultimately lead them to becoming customer. That's the goal of revenue. All right. So if email isn't personalized, it disappears. So we were talking about websites. Let's talk about email. Traditional email funnels, where somebody comes to your website, they fill out a form, you get them in, you have no idea who they are. They could be completely not the right buyer, or they may be the right buyer and you have no idea who they are because you're measuring the wrong things. That's the typical funnel. What is happening right now with the typical email funnel? So it's the one size fits all strategy on the left. Really weird stuff is happening now with open rates. And if you utilize email, you may be seeing this. They're actually not real. So what's happened is Apple, for one, has instituted things like mail privacy protection. They literally have a bot that opens all your emails, checks them out, makes sure that they're not going to crash the system, and then lets them through. You think that the right person opened your email. It didn't. The bot did. So things like 50, 60% open rates, I know that may be exciting, but that's really not what's happening. Be careful when you're looking at just open rates. Click rates is what you should be measuring, okay? Because that tells you they opened it, it was the right person, and they clicked on whatever I wanted them to click on, okay? The other thing that's happening now is unsubscribe rates are going up, especially if your emails aren't personalized. And 16 billion more emails a day are going out now versus 2 years ago. 16 billion. So personalization is no longer a feature. It's literally your way to bypass the delete button or the unsubscribe button. So you really want to utilize it, but it's more than just a first name in an email. You want to know who they are, their context, and how close they are to buying, right? Because if you do that right, then on the right-hand side, you've got a relationship engine. You've got a way through hyper-personalization to have consistent open rates, click-through rates that are doubling, maybe tripling. 93% of marketers who are using this today are seeing increased ROI. Because you're not just pushing a funnel, you're providing value for someone along their journey. So that's what's happening with email. You want to be authoritative. You want to have trust. How do people trust you? They trust you with consistency. And it used to be that they could come to your website, whether it was month after month or whether it was week after week, and you would post new stuff and they would come and you would build their trust, and then they'd be like, okay, I want to buy from these guys. But attention is completely fragmented now, and they're not coming to your website. They're doing research and AI tools. They're going to their communities. They're talking to their Facebook groups and getting a peer signal that says, yeah, these guys are good. And the hard part is that no one channel anymore gives reach and trust both. So you're going to have to be on multiple channels, but you got to decide which ones, or you're going to go nuts. It just spreads your resources too thin. So here's probably one of the most practical things I'll give you today in this webinar, which is, how do you do a constant intent strategy when everything is so fragmented? How do you get people to believe in you, to trust you, and to ultimately want to buy from you? I call it the hub and spoke distribution method. You're going to look at your data and you're going to decide where are the two places that most of my customers are going. Is it LinkedIn? Is it YouTube? Is it your podcast? Is it your email newsletter? Whatever it is, take those two hubs and make them the best you possibly can. Be as consistent as possible. Participate. If it's in a community or LinkedIn, don't just post stuff, comment on other people's stuff. Start a conversation. Become someone that people see as a guru. Someone they follow on YouTube, somebody they follow on LinkedIn, whatever it is. Take those two channels and use those as your mainstay. Then, once you've got your two channels and you're doing content on your channels, use AI. Use AI to create content for other places that your customers are, and use AI to automate it and put it out there. Take your ebook and turn it into a month's worth of social media posts and a blog and an article on Hub. This is not new stuff, but AI can do it now in seconds, minutes at the most. Amplify it intelligently. This is the spoke piece of it, right? You empower your team and everyone to share it. And now you're shifting your metrics and you're looking at campaign metrics. Which channels are helping me the most? Which are bringing me the most qualified leads? Am I getting higher intent engagement? Asking the right questions about deal velocity and deal value. And this is how you build a more sustainable engine, because you're not trying to be everywhere at once and then the algorithm doesn't even recognize you because you don't have the trust anywhere. And finally, learning speed. So learning speed is critical in this environment. Monthly reviews are just too slow right now. The market's shifted already. So bi-weekly sprints and check-ins during campaigns. You launch a campaign across channels to try to get the word out. And on Wednesday and on Friday, you meet, you learn some stuff by looking at the metrics, then you update and you put it into the workflow engine or whatever you've got. And you're constantly making better and better decisions about your marketing on an ongoing basis. And in this world, the fastest learners, the fastest adapters are the ones who are winning. It's not headcount anymore. Literally, you can have one person running $1 billion company now, right? It's not that. It's your ability to use AI to adapt in real time. All right, so now for the fun stuff. So we've talked about what's changed in marketing, the things you guys really need to know because they're the things that are going to be sticking around as far as the new shifts. And now let's talk about loop marketing. In this section, we'll do a quick review on why funnels are flawed. We'll compare funnels and loops. We'll look at loop marketing as a new framework. We'll talk about the 4 stages, which are called express, tailor, amplify, and evolve, and what each of those means. I will outline 5 key takeaways for you guys that really will help you when you think about this new world of marketing. And then finally, we'll talk about the path forward in building your own loop system. Okay, so why funnels are failing. Linear journeys. Journeys are not linear anymore. People are going all over. They're coming in, they're coming out. They're not predictable entry points. And campaigns and quarterly optimization are just too slow. The reality now is that buyers buy unpredictably, and it's in channels that you don't control. When entry can happen anywhere and feedback needs to be immediate, this is the new baseline. In the funnel world where it's linear, awareness, consideration, decision, loyalty, advocacy, that used to be the funnel. In that, your goal is always throughput. How do I get people in the funnel and how do I get them out of the funnel fast enough? Loops are different. Your goal now is learning velocity. How quickly can you learn what's working, update what you've got as far as your content, your channels, whatever key insights you've got, and get smarter, and then just keep doing that. It's basically optimizing for intelligence. That's the era that we're in, is intelligence versus throughput. All right. So what is loop marketing? Loop marketing is the new framework for growth. Spot launched it last year in September of 2025, and they launched it along with a massive amount of changes to their platform, all based on AI. Even though I'm a HubSpot partner, you don't have to have HubSpot to implement this stuff. You can have your own tech stack. You just have to be able to piece these parts together in order to build and operationalize the system. So here are the 4 stages, and you can see it's an infinite loop. It doesn't go across and then stop, and then you measure, and then you start again. It's this constant kind of flowing loop where first you're defining, which is express. Second, you're personalizing, which is called tailor. Third, you're distributing, that's amplify. And then finally, you're optimizing, and that's evolve. So what do you do in express stage? So think of express, not express fast, but express myself. Express is, how are you distinct? I had told my clients this from the beginning of time. I don't want you guys to talk about how you're better necessarily. Different beats better every day of the week. And now it's even more important. You have to be distinct. You have to be distinct in your brand voice. It has to stand out. Your point of view, take a point of view, talk about it on LinkedIn, key messaging. Speak in your customer's terminology and in their pain points. In customer truth, uncover unstated needs and aspirations. I put this at the bottom of the slide because I thought some of you guys might be like, my customers aren't telling me what their needs and aspirations are. How do I know? You can do things like observe service calls or analyze your competitors' bad reviews. That's super helpful because then you're like, ooh, that was really bad. And you can use their wording. Social listening tools, super valuable, not only for your brand, but for your competitors. And then finally, just interviewing your sales and service teams. That's a way to find out. So that's express. Second is, this is so important now, is personalization, and not just their first name and last name, but personalizing the content for what industry they're in, what their function is, where they are in the buyer's journey. HubSpot launched buyer intent. It'll alert you when the company's launched a product. It'll alert you when a company has acquired or bought another company. It'll alert you when their CEO has an article on LinkedIn. It'll alert you in all these different ways so that if they are a really important target customer, it allows you to make your sales emails, your marketing emails much more personalized. And finally, real-time behavior. What did they last do on your website? Or what are they searching for online? There's tools like Apollo as well as HubSpot that can allow you to understand who's searching for which terms. So you can get a list of people that are actually interested in what you have to offer. And it's just going to unlock a higher yield per visit. Amplify. This is where we talked about the hub and spoke model. We want to just meet our customers where they are. We want to place our message where they're active, right? There are tons of articles out there about how to take your blogs and make them reformatted for AI. And it's important now because that's a channel where people are more and more going to do research. Social channels, LinkedIn, TikTok, whichever ones that are important to you, you want to be there. Communities, like I mentioned, Reddit, Slack, Quora, and then industry hubs and Facebook groups. Distribution now becomes your competitive advantage, but remember, you're going to get so wiped out if you're trying to be everywhere all at once. So pick 2, maybe 3 if you're a big company. Pick your key channels and then let AI do the rest as far as repurposing your content. And then finally, evolve. This is about live insights, continuous optimization, and no waiting. When you're launching a campaign, you want to know which channels you're using, what content you're using, and you want to be monitoring it. Even if you're not launching a campaign, let's say you just launched a new web page, whatever it is, you want to have the tools to be able to understand what's happening in whichever channel you're in. Use that insight to inform and then use AI to automate it. So you're constantly learning and you're constantly compounding your momentum. All right. Getting to the end here, funnels are dead and loops are the path forward. I want to review real quick what we've learned. Traffic scarcity is permanent. It's not going away. Now your interactions have to deliver more. People expect more when they come to your website and you need to deliver more. Attention is fragmented. Buyers are scattered across all these channels. AI is going to accelerate everything if you use it the right way. And your old playbook as far as funnels is just too slow. It doesn't represent user behavior anymore. We need to move to the loop because it allows us to operationalize all the shifts that are happening. 5 key takeaways. If you remember nothing else from this webinar, remember these 5 things, these 5 principles. Loops are replacing funnels, not optimizing them. So funnels are dead. Loops recognize that buyer's journey now is a lot more complex and people may go different places and not click at all. Your goal isn't to force them to come to your website when they're not ready. Your goal is to just be present, where they are. The second one, and this kind of bleeds into the first, intent starts before the visit. So don't wait until they get to your website before you start having them know you, because if you're waiting for that, you're too late for the game. If you're only tracking on-site behavior, you're already behind because they're asking ChatGPT questions. They're reading LinkedIn posts. Like this webinar, for example, I could turn it into 15 different short videos and just put them on different channels so that wherever you are, the message is consistent and people recognize who you are before they get to your website. Visibility matters more than clicks. We talked about that a lot, but it's super important. You're going to win now if you're remembered and you're encountered during research and you continually show up wherever people are. Content, more is not better, but it's feeding the loop. So create your content in your specific hubs and then use AI to amplify it. Because conversion is not going to happen just from people looking at one page on your website. It's just not. And then lastly, AI accelerates it. So you've got your loop and AI is helping you by doing things like repurpose your content, enhance your data, run workflows. You're letting AI handle a lot of the stuff that you just don't have time to do. Those are the 5 key things that I would remember. And then when you're ready and you want to start talking a little bit more about loop marketing and looking at your tech stack, reach out. I'm here. And that's it. I'm just excited you guys showed up. So